Thank you for being so, Northwest brave and coming out in the chilly, nilly weather. And the good thing is it's not super windy, so it's not minus 20. It's only 20, no, it was 17 degrees on the way in. So anyway, it's warm, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So welcome to Unity. My name's Sherry Humes. I'm your service assistant today. And we welcome everyone. Today our minister is Reverend Frank. Yay, yay. The name of his talk today is Praying with Some Inmates. So that should be interesting. And our music ministry is Quiet Fire. We thank them so much, blessing us with their music. So thank you. Let's see. We are a joyful spiritual community committed to spiritual practices, compassionate service, and living on purpose. This is our mission. Let us own it. I think let's take some time to greet one another. And also, I think there's probably a few people that are still in their PJs and slippers online. So we'll turn around and say hi to them as well, and take a moment to say hi to your friends and neighbors. Okay. Actually, it's kind of fun to say hi to people when you've been holed up in your house all week, right? Hi, Mary Jo. Ah. Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and say our 5 principles together. So as you settle back into your space and begin to feel the spirit of love and light move through you as we take a few moments just to breathe together. Okay, join me in saying, God is good and present in all things. The holiness of God is my one true nature. I am creating my experiences by how I think. My thinking is guided by my daily affirmative prayers and affirmative actions. I follow and am sustained by these values in every way, every day, and so it is.
Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Ooh. of the running wave to you, deep peace of the flowing air to you, deep peace of the quiet earth to you, deep peace of the shining stars to you, deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace to 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 you.
Let us take pause to gather in prayer, to be as one, asking for all, peace on earth, goodness to all. This last week, many of us extended thoughts and prayers for our local family, friends, and animal friends as we have navigated frigid temperatures, and also to those in other parts of these United States that are under severe weather alerts. Let us remember, wherever we are, God is. Wherever our loved ones are, God is. And God is present for those all around our world who face danger of war or uncertainty. Affirm within, wherever I am, God is, and all is well. If this is true for you, it's so abundantly true for others that we can have compassion for, those who we do not know, but truly also for those who we love and cherish. If you have a special blessing or situation that you would like to give special prayer for, or someone in your life, please feel free to speak your prayer or their name aloud. As we quietly now deepen and relax into meditation, know that I'll be playing the sound bowls for a few minutes to allow you to float and blend with Source Divine. Begin to follow your breath, slow, deep, and easy. As you breathe, your body relaxes and your mind quiets. The wind this week carried molecules from far-off lands to us. We were breathing air from oceans and continents far away. The veil of separation is so thin. One human family, same oxygen, no separation. Imagine that you are miles above our sacred Mother Earth. You see continents and clouds, lights and oceans. No boundaries. We are blended as one family sharing the same breath of life. You see the beauty, the majesty of our living, breathing planet, the flow and rhythm of life. Imagine our human family held in perfect balance and well-being.
Today, the talk title is Praying with an Inmate. This week earlier, a friend came to mind. I call him a friend. I don't remember his name. Somebody I met maybe 30 years ago in a prison in the South, Mississippi. So it happened like this. I was a brother at the time. Some of you might have known that. But for many years, I lived as a Dominican brother. Tell you more about that some other day. But I had a summer, and so we had a house in Mississippi. So I went there to spend a summer. And my work was working in a state penitentiary. So one day, we all went in, the brothers, and we had a big group of people for a prayer meeting. And they looked at me and said, your turn, you lead the prayer. So I have no idea what my prayer was. And I'm pretty sure the way I think of prayer and experience prayer now as a unity person is very different than how I experienced it, some 30 years ago. I'm pretty sure of that. But here's the point. I led the prayer and everybody closed their eyes. And the prayer was over and it was just silent. And it was just silent. And it was just silent. And what went through my mind was, what a stupid prayer, man. You don't know how to pray. You said this prayer and nobody's responding and no one has anything to say and everyone's kind of sitting there and what's wrong with you? You're on this spiritual path supposedly and yet you say this prayer and no one's responding and I'm just feeling really like, God, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Catch that. And then this young man who I'm thinking of today, he just started crying. And I thought, what is wrong with you? You made this guy cry. You don't know how to pray. What is right? What is going on? And I just was caught up in this whole energy of the moment. And then I realized the other inmates all started chatting and they started talking and this energy burst forward. And the prayer meeting, this little meeting of maybe there was 12 of us, just went in this beautiful direction of people sharing from just this profound level of emotional connection. And then I realized I don't go this deep at this time in my life as these young men were going. They were deep in a situation where they were yearning for this connection in this sense of God, this sense of I'm in a place where it's okay. I'm being held, I'm being loved, I'm being connected, I'm here with my friends and needing it so bad. And what I realized about prayer was, and I realized it then, it really wasn't about me. Yeah. It wasn't about me at all. Get out. I mean, the ego prayer. I'm going to say this perfect prayer and it's going to do something. No, it's not about that. And I asked one of the older brothers, I said, what are we doing here? He says, well, we just come to pray with people and to listen to people and pray with people. I am here to listen to you and to pray with you. I am here to listen to you and to pray with you. Say that with me once. I am here to listen to you and to pray with you. Wow. Beautiful. I am here to listen to you. I'm here to listen to you and to pray with you. And I walked in and prayed. And the hard thing was, I went back week after week after week to see these same people at this one penitentiary. And I always looked this guy up. I mean, the one who started crying, I really had this affinity for him. And what was funny was I started befriending him. And he told me his story and what he was doing there and his childhood and his parents and where he came from and his dreams and his hopes for life. But he was in for manslaughter. He was going to be there a long time. And I realized I was kind of lonely. I'm in Mississippi in this small town and not many people around. And I'm like, you want to go to see a movie? No, I'm not going to ask him. Of course not. He's not going to see any movies. He's here for 25, 30 years. I don't know. He might still be there. I realized that the other day. He might still be there. This trajectory of my life has been long. He may still be there. And I realized, and people tell you their story, and who knows, right? We all tell our stories. We know how we tell our stories. And as the years go by, the story you tell about what happened changes. And people hear your story and they repeat your story. And it's not the same story. And stories evolve. Stories change. But the general nugget of the story and his sense of ownership of what happened to him was mistake number one. I'm a black man and I went into what was a white bar. Not the right thing to do in Mississippi in these years. Sense number two, I was all full of myself that I can go in and no one's going to tell me what to do. Sense number three, I got really drunk and I started shooting off my mouth and I started pushing people and started getting in a fight. And then number four, I found myself on the ground fighting and I picked up a pull cue and I just swung it. And now someone died. Tragedy number one, someone died. Tragedy number two, another person is in life for manslaughter. Tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. But I did wonder, and it's just a wonder, if that story is fully the way it went down. Don't know. But I wondered if it was a white person who went into a bar of people of color, same story. Would it have been self-defense or manslaughter? Yeah, it's interesting. So part of the reason, now this story came up to me early in the week, and I just felt like I want to talk about this story, and I want to remember this friend of mine in this prison. And I just want to honor his journey, and I realized, it's Martin Luther King Day tomorrow. It's Martin Luther King weekend. And I had already come up with a title, already sent it to Jene, said, put this in the bulletin, I'm praying for an inmate. That was the talk title on Monday. And somewhere around Tuesday or Wednesday, I realized it's Martin Luther King Day. And I said, wasn't Martin Luther King an inmate more than once? Maybe not state penitentiary, but got in a lot of trouble. So I went back and I looked up this letter. Do you remember it? It was called A Letter from a Birmingham Jail. Famous piece of writing from Martin Luther King. And it led me to look at a bit of Martin Luther King's story. You know, I have just a few quotes here from King, and this is some quotes from Letter from a Birmingham Jail. And I think about the sense of Martin Luther King. You know, we go to the prison to pray. I am here to listen to you and to pray with you. I am here to listen to you and to pray. To pray. And I want to talk about that prayer of Martin Luther King. He says in this letter, and by the way, he says, I don't write a lot of letters. I'm way too busy to be writing letters to all my critics who always want to say, do this, do that. You're doing the wrong thing, Dr. King. Reverend King, you need to change your style. I'm too busy doing what I need to do, what the divine has called me forth to do, to stop and write you letters. But I'm in a Birmingham jail. I'm here for a long time. I don't know when I'm getting out. I got nothing better to do, so I'll write a letter now. 8-page letter comes out later, and just a critical part of his story. And he says, I'm cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and of all states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere. It's a threat to justice anywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. We're tied in a single garment of destiny. And whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And you know, he said this beautiful thing in this letter, how we're all tied together. And he writes to his friends and he says, you know, there's all of us who are out here marching, arm in arm, walking down the street, and we get in the papers and the news and all the newsreels. And he said, but for each person walking, there's so many other people that you don't see. What are they doing? They're watching the kids so these people can march. They're cooking meals so these marchers can have something to eat. They're doing logistics. They're finding rides. They're sending people out. They're calling their legislature. They're writing letters to the papers and editorials. And most important, there's all of us who are on the streets marching. There's all these other people supporting us so we can do it. And then there's all these other people who are praying. So, if there's something coming up and you can't march, and there's something you came up and you can't cook the food or watch the kids, there's still something we can always do, and that's pray. Well, how do I pray? What do I say? What's the right word? It's not about me, and it's not about you. It's about showing up and honestly opening to that place where we pray. And so I just, do you find, let me just pause for a second about prayer. And for those of you who've been to Unity for a long time, you know kind of where I'll be saying this, but it's always good to refresh that in Unity, we usually say, now, you can't pray wrong. Take that off the table. And there's not better or worse. I'm not saying that. Please take that off the table. But I want to introduce a way and suggest to you to try this way of prayer and see what you find and see how this might transform your life in a way that you would least expect it. And that is, we don't pray talking to God. We don't talk to anybody, anything outside of ourselves. We recognize that the very kernel of the divine shows up and manifests in the world through me and through you and through us as a community. So our job is to open, to awaken, to allow, to listen to that energy that is moving through us, as us, and moving into the world in a profound way, expressing as us. There's just the one, and the one divine source, the one eternality that it showed up and manifest into the many forms. And each of those forms is a piece of that one. And that one is calling forward and asking and reconnecting to be the one of all of us. We just allow that energy. We don't need to talk, hey, God. It's like, I recognize now, and I am standing, and I know the truth that the very essence of the divine power, the presence, is and working through me, as me. We open to that. Allow that. We show up with the inmates, and you say, I'm going to pray. And what do you say? You can say, do you feel it? God is here. Here we are. The divine is present. It's here now. We are it, and it is more. We are all of it, and it's more than just us, but it's also all of us, showing up and allowing that very presence to move through us, as us, with us. How to pray without tongue. Just affirm the truth. What is the truth? God is love. Okay, God expresses as me, I am love. God is understanding. I am understanding. God is compassion. I now call this truth that we, Unity of Bellingham, we are it. We are the compassion. We are the love. We are the understanding. We are the power. We are the source. We are the energy. We are the transformational power of the divine working in and through all of us to support each other and to support our greater Bellingham community. This is who we are. And we can just feel that. Just be that. Yeah. We had a great talk in our, we have this class, it's on Monday. Jonathan Hall leads this class, Spiritual Conversations. And we had this wonderful, this beautiful tussle, not tussle. Yeah, it was a bit of a, and we talked about that to show up as a spiritual person. And we often use this symbol of the cross, that we connect to the eternal nature of who we are. This is the sort of the vertical plane. We are connecting with that and letting it flow in and through us, aligning all our chakras. We line up, but we also show up in the world, in the plane, because we don't just connect here. We're showing up. We're the manifested of the divine in practicality, in the human form, in the world, and we're showing up. So where's the starting point? Do we start here and move to here? Do we start here and move to here? Do we do them both at the same time? It's just a fun discussion, and I'm not pretending there's any perfect answer to that. I don't know, but I have a sense that I want to change the question just a little bit, change the metaphor, if I may, just a little bit. And so I brought this lever. You don't know how a lever works, right? The further you get away from it, so here's the world. I want to change the world. And if I'm going to lift with this much, You know? It's hard to do. You know how lever works, right? The further you away from the fulcrum to lift. So if I want to change the world and I have this much space, it's hard to lift. If this is like 100 pounds and I'm trying to lift with so much, it might feel like I'm trying to lift 500 pounds. But if you change the fulcrum, right, the center point of where you lift, and you move it closer to the object you lift, you know how this works, how a lever works, right? And you get way back here, and now it's like, I can move the world. Easy peasy. What I'm suggesting is this side of the lever is your spiritual practice. You want to move the world? Give yourself as much leeway as you can. Give yourself as much oomph as you can. And what is this? Well, we always go to the baseline, meditation. Meditation, sure. You know, you start back here and you go like Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, I need to change the world. So I'm going to start by like trying to move the world with my muscles. I'm going to try to muscle through and I'm going to change things. Then you add a little meditation. Gets a little easier. Add a little journal writing. Yeah, now it's easier. Add prayer. Add listening. Add service. Add compassion. Add a little loving people. All the possible spiritual practice. And all of a sudden, this combination of spiritual internal growth allows us to move the world so much easier, to have a bigger impact on this plane. We fortify ourselves on this plane. Does that make sense? I read that in a Richard Rohr thing. I'd love if I would have made that up. I didn't, but I read that in Richard Rohr on like Wednesday at a little daily thing, and I went, oh, that is so good. I gotta use it on Sunday. And duct tape and a pole in the garage, But I thought that makes so much sense. It doesn't say, which is first is which is last. It just shows that the more we get aligned in prayer to the truth of our nature, the more we do our own internal work, the more oomph we have. I talked to my son the other night, and he says, yeah, I was telling him I want to do something about Martin Luther King and maybe Cesar Chavez, Mahatma Gandhi, Dorothy Day, all these people who did nonviolent action. And he said, yeah, I wonder, it's always interesting, like how did they get so connected in faith to God that they were willing to push against what all the society was saying and be certain that their way of nonviolence, their way of nonviolent action was the way. How do they do that? And I just thought, here's how they do it. You just keep moving the fulcrum closer to the object of the desire, to be the blessing to the world we want to be, do the spiritual practices that allow our strength. And we just keep doing it. There was when in the letter to Birmingham, they asked Gandhi, it's like, you got to, can you just wait? You're always in such a hurry, can you just wait? He said, no. And what he would have said at the time, the Negro, that's the way his language was, we're not waiting. The Negro person's not waiting. It's been hundreds of years. No, we're not waiting. No more waiting. Can't you negotiate? He goes, oh, we'll negotiate. Number one, we look at the facts and what's happening. Is there injustice? Are people being treated in the sense of their divine essence that they are? If the answer is no, we negotiate. Number two, and we negotiate, and we negotiate. If that doesn't work, then he said, number three, we go into a place of, what did he call it? I always say prayer. He called it purification. Purification. We go deep into training on how to change the world non-violently. People show up, they're ready to violently do it. No, we take the time it takes to get ourselves prepared to do non-violent resistance. Are you ready to go to jail? Are you ready to be an inmate? Are you ready to take violent action? Are you ready to take the words that people will say? Are you ready to take that, but stand true to this divine calling, to the justice that you want to be in the world, and take whatever comes at you and do it? If you're ready, if you're purified, that's an interesting word, you're purified, then and only then do we go forward and do the social action we need to do. So I have a question for you. Maybe just take this in for 1 second. Just close your eyes. Martin Luther King in the late 50s and 60s was doing this work for civil rights for the black people in the South specifically. We live in 2024 in Bellingham, Washington. If we were going to have the same energy to address an injustice like Reverend King did 60 years ago, what would be the issue for us in Bellingham in 2024? What is an issue for us? Where do we see the great injustice in our city, in our county? What is that? What is being called of us to lift the lever and to support greater sense of justice in our communities? Okay, open your eyes. Someone just throw out what you came up with. Homelessness. Homelessness. Anyone else? What's that? Prejudice. Yeah, homelessness, prejudice. How many people thought of homelessness? Yeah. Who thought of something else that really struck them as the issue in Bellingham and homelessness? Everybody I ask, my prejudice is good. There's others, yeah. So I'm just allowing that to settle on Martin Luther King Day. We don't need to do what Martin Luther King did in his day in the 60s. We need to live the way he lived in the model he's asking us. Look at this model. Might it apply for you in 2024 in Bellingham? And what's your issue? What's your issue? And if we can't march and we can't write letters and we can't do anything else, what can we do? Pray. And what does praying do? Moves the lever. And maybe sometimes it's the start to get us to go into the second place. And finally, I am here to listen to you. I am here to listen to you. We'll leave off the prayer for a second. Sharing one thing, because this also comes up for our time, and I heard this from writer David Brooks, who's a commentator and writer. Maybe some of you know him, he's New York Times. God, I love this man, but he gave a TED Talk, and I wrote down a few things he said. 35% of Americans over the age of 45 are chronically lonely. 8% of Americans report having meaningful conversations with their neighbors. 8%. Only, maybe I should say, 8% of people in the USA say they have meaningful conversations with their neighbors. 32% of Americans say that they trust their neighbors. Only, I should say, 32% of US people say trust neighbors. And if you're a millennial, it's 18% say they trust their neighbor. You see, we've got a crisis here, folks. The fastest growing political party is unaffiliated. The fastest growing religion, unaffiliated. Suicide rates up 30% since 1999. Teen suicide rates have risen by 70%. You know this, teachers are nodding. 45,000 Americans die by suicide every year. 72,000 die by opioid overdose. And life expectancy has now been shortened instead of lengthened in our country. It's like this deep, deep crisis of loneliness, of feeling separate, of feeling disconnected. And what do we say all the time? What is the purpose of prayer? What is the purpose of the spiritual life? Is to understand that the one has showed up at the many, and we're just recognizing the one in each other. It's this divine connectivity. And so what is one tool? What is one spiritual practice that we can do? I am here to listen. Listen to each other. The one person we studied so much in ministry school, we had 6 semesters, and 3 semesters I had a class, and they were all based on this guy named Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers he talked about what I'm telling you is a way to do therapy, but what I'm really telling you is a way to live your life. If you want to have the most enriched life you could possibly have, listen to each other. Just listen. Not hear and passively, but really take it as, he said, what a joy, what a transformational process when we open up and someone tells us our story and we're invited in to hear another person's story, their life, their path, like what's happened to them. Oh, It's not about fixing. It's not about advice giving. It's not about trying to say, oh, you told me so. It's not about you tell me your story, so I'm going to see if I can one-up you with my story, or I'm going to give you some good advice, or I'll give you a website, or I know I had the same problem. No, it's just about what a joy, what a transformative process it is to listen, to just take in what another person says and engage. It's like, oh, I'm really curious. What is that about? Tell me more. What, just the fun. And it turns out that, and sometimes we go, well, I'd like to be listened to. And that's fine. And of course, we all need to be listened to. But in the act of listening, it turns out that not only does the person listened to have a transformative experience because I've allowed someone into my life and they saw me and it's like, this is great. Somebody saw my life. The person who was the listener also is transformed with deep listening, and then they say, well, I've just been invited into another person. Isn't this great? And it's this connection. It's this opening connection. I am here to listen to you. I am here to listen. I am here to listen. And this great sort of American tragedy of feeling so disconnected, so inharmonious. I mean, can we start with us? I mean, I don't know if we can fix the whole United States. Can we start with us? Can we just practice listening, not hearing? Am I a good listener? I think being a good listener is tough. What do you think, Diane? No, don't answer. She knows I'm better. Good. There is a spiritual muscle we all have. A spiritual muscle. And it, like any muscle, we can exercise it, we can practice it, we can get it stronger. Listening is another spiritual practice. And it's transformative. Yeah. I am here. I am here. Okay, I'm here. It's the next, we keep getting short here. I am here. And you realize when we started this, I am here to listen to you and to pray with you. We were talking a lot about doing things, doing this. And as we move down this sentence, I am here, we're moving more into the reality, the truth of our nature, the present reality of the divine nature, the Christ presence, the lucid self, the true self, the energy of living in the Buddhic field, however you want to call it, the full capital S self, not my ego self, not the small self, the full self. I am here. Can we just show up? And we look at King and we look at the tragedies in the world. Sometimes it's like, can I do this much? Can I say, I am here? I'm here, Instead of going, it's too much, I'm overwhelmed, I'm going to hide. It's a statement of courage. It's a statement that's saying, on this spiritual path, do I have the answers? No, maybe I don't. Is it confusing? Yes, it is. Is there pain? There is. Is there tragedy? Is there things that are really hard for us? We all said, so much of it is said there's homeless issue. What about the homeless? What happens if you see a homeless person? I don't know, it's too much. You can say, I'm here. I'm seeing that. I'm not going to run away from it. I'm going to go to it. That's an issue. That is a soul, a divine soul. And I think every night, the other night, did this happen to you? I crawled in my bed with a sweatshirt. It was like 5 degrees outside. And I rolled up and Diane and I looked at each other and go, God bless anybody homeless tonight. First thing we said. Is it hard to shake it? This issue, when I see people on the street in my city, I can't, it's like it's wearing on me. And I think I see the heads nodding. And I probably, if you're watching from any place in the country, you might be nodding your head as well. And what King did for the black people in 1960, what do we do perhaps? I'm suggesting, I'm wondering, I'm curious, I'm just throwing it out. What do we do in our time for the homeless situation? That's for all our friends who are sleeping on streets with and I go all the reasons, it's complex. But it's not so complex that there's not solutions. And I know some solutions are happening. But like they told King all the time, sir, you need to just wait. Don't be in a hurry. And Martin Luther King, Reverend King says, no, we're not waiting. 300 years. The slavery, the racism, we're done. It's now. It's now. It's now. And we'll do it nonviolently. We're not going to hurt you. but we're going to disturb you. And we're going to rattle the cage. And we're not throwing punches and we're not bringing out guns, but we're rattling the cage. What cages might we need to rattle? What cages do we might rattle? And finally, well, why me? Why me? Why should we do it? Why should I do anything? I am my divine statement. I am. And each of us say, I am. Say that. I am. Right. That's why. Because the very divine has manifested this divine energy alive in each of us. We may not want it. If we're here incarnate on earth and breathing, we're it. It takes courage. It takes waking up to the truth of our nature. I am. I am. Each of us can say, I am. As a community, we are. We are. We are the divine manifesting. So we have this calling to show up. We want to make an impact here. And I just encourage all of us to do it. Move the fulcrum, make it easier, do the spiritual practices so we can make the difference in the world that we're being called to make. So take this in closing, if you just take this reflection and if you close your eyes just for a moment and just breathe with me through this. I am here to listen to you and to pray with you. I am here to listen to you and to pray. I am here to listen to you. I am here to listen. I am here. I